boys. Here to be, my children. We need food. Our people are starving. Our queen is starving. Our larvae and pupa are dying from starvation. The humans have food, more food than they'll ever need. Come on, let's take it. Soldiers, fall in.
Attention!
Look, there's some humans with food now. Charge!
Take us!
Food, the one thing that all life must have to exist upon the face of the earth. And ants are no exception. They are no respecter of persons, places, or things when they are searching for food. They crawl, they bite, they sting, they aggravate and torment. They are without mercy. Ants are more numerous than any other insect and live in all climates inhabited by man. Wherever man is, there the ant is also. They seem to come from nowhere and suddenly are everywhere at once, crawling over the food. As the hordes invade, man often gives up his pleasures in utter despair. Perhaps another place, another day will be better. But man, with his will to survive, studies and fights many pests. He has found over 3,000 species and discovered that the ant has high insect intelligence. Its life begins as a small egg, and development is like that of many other insects. Soon it hatches into a light yellow larva. It remains in the pupal stage a few weeks or months, depending upon its species. Ants live in a highly developed social order consisting of a queen, workers, soldiers, and young. The males die soon after mating, leaving the colony to the females. Each member of the community has a job to do. The female soldier defends the colony. The jointed antennae aid in touch, taste, and probably hearing. The soldier is recognized by its large body, jaws, and head. The worker has a smaller head and, like other ants, has a narrow waist. Her job is to build a nest, feed the queen, forage for food, and care for the eggs, larvae, and pupae. The queen is larger. Soon after mating, she loses her wings and begins her job of laying eggs. She may have a long life and live to be 20 years old. The narrow-waisted ant should not be confused with the wood-eating termite. The ant and termite may be the same size and both have wings during their mating season. The termite, however, has a broad waist, straight beaded antennae, and is usually light in color. Most ants build their nests in the ground, where they find protection from the weather as well as from their enemies. The worker is a tireless laborer, tunneling out, digging deeper, carrying out sand grain by grain. The ant is noted for being even busier than its kinsman, the honeybee or wasp. Its muscles are strong and can lift many times its own weight. Enlarged chambers will be needed to house the eggs, larvae, and pupae. Passageways will connect new food storage chambers. Although ants are often a pest to man, their industry and intelligence can be admired. As the nest becomes crowded, the new winged queen will fly to a different location and lay her eggs. She will have no workers to tend to her needs until some develop out of her eggs. Then there are many workers. Sometimes a colony will raid another to get eggs, larvae, and pupae, which they raise as slaves. The slaves are formed into labor divisions. Many ants may be killed, but the victor will have slaves to bring in food and do much of the work. It is a fight to the finish when two opposing soldiers meet. Hard jaw against jaw with no quarter asked, and none given. Sometimes there's a quick killing wound. At other times, a mortal grip. The ant's hard outside shell gives protection, but the conflict often ends in the death of both. Throughout the insect world, there is constant danger. Old age, disease, and injury mean weakness. Weakness invites death. Ants sense this weakness and use a unique communication system to call other ants into battle. Soon, soldiers and workers come by the hundreds. They crawl over the weakened victim and inflict deadly wounds. Finally, the victim dies. In all nature, life is fast and quickly lived. The strong survive, the weak perish. It is the law of nature. The conqueror feasts upon the conquered, and in death, the dead feed the living. Ants eat many things. Their greedy tongues lap the juices of plants as well as animals. Workers gorge themselves and carry food in their bodies back to the nest, where it is fed to other members of the colony. Some colonies use special workers for food storage. These workers remain in the nest and feed the colony as needed. The ant colony is truly a closely knit family. The food of one is shared with the others. Some ants do not depend solely upon the food they find. These have such a high degree of intelligence that they raise part of their food. Many keep herds of aphids, often called plant lice, for ants enjoy the honeydew given by aphids. They keep their aphids together and move them from time to time to better feeding grounds and places of better protection. The operation is similar to that of a dairy farmer, and aphids are often called ant cows. So successful is their agricultural enterprise that the ant colony can maintain a herd year after year. Since aphids damage the crops of man, the ant becomes a twofold enemy. Busy workers make a highway from the nest to their objective, and soldiers protect them along the way. When the objective is the human home, ants are a pest. Up concrete foundations from tunnels below climb the ants. No wall is too steep or too high. Even the smallest crack or opening is large enough to allow ants to enter homes. Through the doors and in the windows they come. It is the never-ending search for food that makes ants such a pest to man. But man has found insecticides to control the ant. These insecticides can be purchased in granular, dust, and liquid forms. The granular type is well suited to treatment of yards and gardens. Nests are usually found around the edge of walkways, under rocks, around trees, and in the lawn and garden. A thorough treatment of the nest will wipe out the colony. Treating an area around a home will help keep ants from entering, but the nests should be located and treated whenever possible. Ant nests are easy to locate, for the line of ants leads to the nest. The next rain or watering of the lawn will carry the insecticide into the nest. Today, there are numerous manufacturers of effective insecticides, each selling under different trade names. If the insecticide contains the recommended amount of chlordane, it will be effective against ants. The buyer will be wise to study the label. A good outside treatment will last a long time. Around rocks and similar places, the dust form should be used, since it will penetrate into the cracks and crevices. The dust gives good coverage in basements and hard-to-reach places, too. As a concentrated liquid, the insecticide should be mixed with water. Directions on the bottle should be followed carefully so that the spray will have the proper strength. The mixture may require a little more work, but it is more practical than the ready-to-use insecticides when large areas are to be treated. This mixture is excellent for coverage of large areas found in basements, garages, and outbuildings. On such rough surfaces, the slight residue and watermarks are not noticeable. Of course, the mixture should be shaken well before using. The spray gun should be large enough to cover the area with ease. The nozzle should be adjusted to deliver small droplets. A mist should be avoided, as it wastes insecticide and may cause contamination. Spray is particularly effective on overhanging pieces and vertical walls, since it clings to these surfaces better than dust or granular forms of the insecticide. All places where ants normally enter should be treated. Inside the home, where a noticeable residue is objectionable, chlordane in a ready-to-use oil solution can be used. Food and utensils should be covered or removed before treatment to avoid possible contamination. The paintbrush makes it possible to put the insecticide exactly where it is needed. One application may rid the kitchen of ants for 2 or 3 months. A handy dispenser bottle or an aerosol bomb is also an easy way to apply the oil solution. This spray dries without spotting. Ants like to travel around the edge of cabinets and under the sink. A larger hand sprayer makes the work faster. A good treatment with an insecticide containing chlordane kills all the ants present and gives long-time protection. And after work is done, man can return to his pleasures without fear that ants will spoil his fun. For this time there will be no ants to crawl, bite, and sting. Again, the charcoal embers glow red, and the fragrance of outdoor cooking fills the air. The companionship of a cheerful fire, happy family, and the fresh outdoors brings joy and contentment. There is peace and satisfaction, too, for today we can truly say, goodbye, Mrs. Ant.